Part 1. Beware of the quiet ones. Most don't notice them until they feel a knife in their back. Fame is a curse to be avoided. Only fools desire fame. You don't know those close to you nearly as well as you think you do. You don't know them. You only know the mask they wear when in your presence. This is a world of masks. To become a millionaire, you need above-average IQ, above-average energy and industriousness, enter a lucrative profession and work hard from age 18 to 40. Lucrative professions include finance, law and sales, medicine, and engineering and STEM. Let's be clear about what good health means. Good health equals no diseases, no injuries, and high testosterone levels. Being disease and injury-free but walking around with 400 milligrams of testosterone does not qualify as good health. Nobody loves you. Nobody hates you. They love or hate who they perceive you to be. The bigger gap between the mask you wear and what you actually are, the less true it is that they love or hate you. You are not paid what you are worth. You are paid what you negotiate for. The single most important Machiavellian strategy for you to be aware of today is Law 38. Pay lip service to the dominant ideology of your society, lest you suffer ostracism. Pay lip service to whatever is currently politically correct. Death gives clarity as to what is critical and what is irrelevant. The more emotional someone is, the easier it is to manipulate them. The purpose of marriage is not to make women happy or to make men happy. The purpose of marriage is to ensure that every child is born into a situation where they will have easy access to their mother and a father. With great power comes an endless supply of women demanding your time. A man is not truly alive until he has found something that transcends himself, something he loves more than his own life. Crisps. Peasants marry for love. Elites marry to forge political and business alliances. If you are not willing to die to make your dream a reality, you are not aiming high enough. A man should have a mission that transcends himself. A conspiracy theory is the insane idea that powerful people would have conversations with one another about how to best secure their interests. They would never do such a thing. One key tactic for charming superiors is this: make them believe that your success is a result of advice that they gave. Whenever someone gives you advice, appear grateful and appear to agree. Whether or not their advice is actually good is supremely irrelevant. If a man has a net worth of over $10 million, he has enemies. Nobody makes it that high in the macro hierarchy without prevailing in intense conflicts along the way. Caveat: does not apply to those who got their money via inheritance. If a woman knows, every cunt knows. Always have a few associates in the bottom 20% of the income distribution. You need to keep a pulse on what is happening at the bottom of the macro hierarchy, so you have some warning before a revolution is launched. The more virtuous they appear on the outside, the more likely it is they are a demon. Losers who are working like mad to fucking hell! Losers who are working like mad to become winners are the most undervalued, high-risk, high-reward asset class in the universe. If you are a fool at 20, chances are you'll still be a fool at 50. Most people are born fools. They live fools. And they die fools. If you appear to be calm and confident, most people will automatically assume that you are trustworthy and competent. If you appear nervous and unsure of yourself, most people will automatically assume you are untrustworthy, or perhaps just incompetent. People no longer trust the experts, because experts have repeatedly been caught lying during recent decades. Especially the last 2 fucking years. Fuck the experts. When people ask, "What do you do for a living?" what they are really asking is, "What is your rank in the macro-dominance hierarchy? Are you important enough such that you are worthy of my time?" The world is full of fools, and yet there is not even one man who considers himself to be a fool, or who even suspects it as a possibility. Women will forgive you for being evil, but not for being powerless. How a person reacts to finding out the future is hopeless tells you a lot about their character. When a man tells you about his problems, he wants solutions. When a woman tells you about her problems, she usually isn't looking for solutions. Usually she just wants to complain, commiserate, and be showered in sympathy. All else equal, a society with strong family units will crush a society with weak family units. When people want to believe a thing is true, they will accept it as true even when there is little or no evidence to support it. When people don't want to believe a thing is true, they will reject it even when there is plenty of concrete evidence to support it. Men are attracted to women who are innocent. Women are attracted to men who are experienced. A man wants a woman who is a clean slate. A woman wants a man who is well developed. The questions you would be punished for asking in public are the questions that will lead you to the truth. If they are willing to do it to someone else, they are willing to do it to you. Emotional people cannot be reasoned with. They can be manipulated. A key skill in the game of power is this. When you witness or experience an injustice, feel no anger and certainly show no anger. You should have zero emotional reaction to injustice. Virtue requires sacrifice, is done for the benefit of others, and can be done in private. Virtue signaling requires no real sacrifice, is done for the benefit of one's own reputation, and requires an audience. Virtuous people are rare. Evil people who have a reputation for being virtuous are common. They skillfully conceal their sins while outwardly virtue signaling. Real freedom of speech, the ability to say whatever you want without any fear of negative consequences, only exists with anonymity. A woman's fake tears are taken seriously. A man's real tears are laughed at. If you show your face, people judge the quality of your writings based on your net worth and physical attractiveness. If you are anonymous, people judge the quality of your writings based on the actual writings. Nobody in the history of the world has ever gone from the bottom of a dominance hierarchy to the top by playing fair and following the rules. There is only one solution to wealth inequality. Ensure that you are on the winning side. As a matter of habit, You should hide your displeasure and fake your contentment. For the sake of charming people, this is mandatory. When interacting with superiors, this is mandatory. When interacting with equals or subordinates, this is highly recommended. If they are never going to understand, never tell them. For those who will understand, no explanation is needed. Those who demand an explanation are never going to understand. The most effective deceptions are those that weave together truth and lies, until one is indistinguishable from the other. We demand more from men than we do from women. We demand that men risk their lives in order to protect and provide for women. We do not demand that women do this for men. Historically, we offered men extra power and status in exchange for this. Today, we do not. If your daughter reaches the age of 16, and you still have not warned her that as she accrues more sexual partners, her capacity to pair bond will diminish, you are a negligent parent. If you are a man, seize power by any means available. Power is worth any price. Lie, cheat, steal, defraud, deceive, kill, betray. You can do literally anything, and the moment you wield power, all your sins shall be forgiven. Having power and having respect are not the same. If people fear insulting you, it indicates they perceive you wield power. If people do not fear insulting you, but they feel bad about it, as if it is the wrong thing to do, it means they feel respect for you. Women have to choose between their career and their family. Women have a choice. Men have no choice. If a man wants to have a family, he has to have a successful career, make enough money to provide for children. Cold reading and charm are the most important social competencies in any Machiavellian's toolbox. Cold reading is making accurate deductions regarding the psychologies of other people. Charm means getting people to like and trust you. Keeping society stable requires ensuring that young males with high testosterone levels all have the perception that they have something to lose. If humans in this demographic wake up and get the sensation that they have nothing to lose, they will burn everything down. There is a difference between a person staying because they're loyal and a person staying because they simply have no other options. A man who has $1 million he made from his own hard work and talent is less respected than a man who has $100 million purely from inheritance. For the rich, an economic downturn is a minor inconvenience. For the poor, it is a desperate struggle to survive. The easiest time to seize power is after a collapse. After an established order collapses, there will be a power vacuum. A new regime will inevitably seize power. Be part of that new regime. Democracy leads to socialism, since the masses will vote for free stuff. Saying what you actually think is almost always the tactically wrong move. Everyone understands that to some degree, physical attractiveness drives success or failure in the dating market. Most people drastically underappreciate the degree to which physical attractiveness matters for success or failure in the dating market. If you aren't at least half as good looking as me, you're fucked. Take away everything a man has, and you will find out what he is. Every man seems strong when he is in a position where he is rich and powerful. Put a man into a position where he is poor and powerless. you'll quickly find out just how psychologically strong he really is. If single motherhood has become common, you are living in a declining society. Betrayal is far more dangerous than attack. Choose your friends wisely. Religion is a pack of lies, like Santa Claus. However, every society will inevitably have a dominant ideology of some sort. The masses will inevitably have some ideology capture their minds. You want it to be an ideology that is as harmless as possible. Public opinion is determined by whoever owns and controls the media. High-status men usually have high notch counts. Low-status men usually have low notch counts. High-status women usually have low notch counts. Low-status women usually have high notch counts. Hypergamy explains why. Not caring about politics is a luxury for people living in times of peace. If you live in times of chaos and you don't pay attention to politics, that can get you killed. You are not depressed. You are living towards the bottom of a hierarchy. You are powerless. If you are extremely intelligent with an IQ over 130, you should deal with most adults the way most adults deal with children. Don't take their opinions seriously. Dumb down the way you talk so they can understand what you are saying. Apologizing to an angry mob is the wrong response. They won't interpret your apology as a sign they should forgive you. They will interpret your apology as an admission of guilt, justification as to why they should hate you even more. Offering your loyalty when I wield power is like offering me sand when I am on a beach. We are living in a simulation. Most people are NPCs. The mainstream media is a mass distribution system for propaganda. When a man is in the presence of a woman he's attracted to, he will instinctively make his voice deeper. When a woman is in the presence of a man she's attracted to, she will instinctively make her voice higher. Emotional people are the majority. Logical people are a tiny minority. Happiness is not a choice. Happiness is the inevitable result of good circumstances. A statement is true or false regardless of who said it. Most people foolishly judge the veracity of a statement based on who said it, rather than based on the substance of the statement. This is why the ad hominem fallacy persuades people. If you think succeeding in university was hard, please give up. Succeeding in the real world or the corporate world is 10 times harder. You want your enemies to have lots of information about you. You want it to be information that is immense in quantity and inaccurate or irrelevant. Keep their minds occupied with information that can't be used to hurt you. If you want a low-risk, low-reward, boring life, then following your parents' advice is a good idea. If you want to seize power, it's a terrible idea. When trying to understand the behavior or actions of others, most logical men start from the baseline assumption that people have good reason to engage in the actions they have taken. This assumption is wrong. Tragically, it is the case that in most societies, the bottom 90% of men are nothing more than cheap labor for the top 10% of men. When interests and incentives align, managing a relationship is effortless. When interests and incentives do not align, Managing a relationship is an endless war. The only people you can trust after becoming powerful are those who were loyal to you before you became powerful. Everyone else is loyal to your power, not to you. Women and children are loved. The closest thing a man can get to being loved is being respected, because he has high status, and feared because he wields power. People suffering due to factors outside their control deserve all the compassion and assistance you can give them. People who manufacture victimhood out of nothing for the sake of winning status in a victim hierarchy deserve your disdain. Fuck those cunts. As inequality rises, violence becomes more common, and the probability of violent revolution goes up. Inequality drives violence. Poverty does not. Few understand this. Job interviews are a test of your ability to lie. Why do you want to work for our company, this industry? The truth? Because you want money. Do not say that, though, or you will be thrown out of the interview room. Sell a lie that is plausible and convincing. Every society that has ever existed was an oligarchy. In every society, power is Pareto distributed. A minority of people hold all the real power. Democracy is always an illusion. A man who is useless is more likely to face ostracism than a woman who is useless. Uselessness is more socially acceptable in a woman than in a man. This is because men are success objects and women are not. The single greatest strategic advantage you could have in the quest for power is this: have nothing to lose. Only a man with nothing to lose would agree to take the risks needed to have a shot at seizing real power. If you are a man and you are powerless, nobody will care whether you live or die. When fuck-ugly ditch-pig feminists tell you that men are privileged, they are referring to men in the top 1%. They conveniently ignore the bottom 80% of men who have miserable lives. Due to hypergamy, the bottom 80% of men are invisible to most women, including most feminists. But fuck those cunts, who wants them anyway? Elites can get away with anything, because the masses do not know anything. Every man has a weakness. You need to be aware of what your weakness is. It could be frantically masturbating, eating cereal, or frantically masturbating while eating cereal. Don't do it. Stop it! Most billionaires are men. Most homeless people are men. Most suicides are men. Feminists conveniently fail to realize that homeless men and men who carry out suicide are a lot more common than men who are billionaires. Society does not care about the well-being of the bottom 80% of men. Part 2. Female virginity is valued. Male virginity is despised. A man wants to be powerful enough such that he can take care of himself and take care of the people he loves. A woman wants to be loved by a man who is powerful enough to be capable of taking care of her. The degree to which I am willing to engage in self-sacrifice for the good of society dropped to 0 when I realized that as a man, if I end up being powerless for any reason, even if through no fault of my own, society will leave me to die. Fuck society. Unconditional love is like a risk-free investment. It doesn't fucking exist. Violent revolution is what happens when young men towards the bottom of the macro-dominance hierarchy come to the conscious realization that their lives are so miserable that they have nothing to lose. The world is a mess. To clean it up, you're going to have to get your hands dirty. If men were informed in advance that the love of a woman they are romantically involved with is conditional and unreliable, they would be far less heartbroken when a woman leaves them. Having blackmail on someone is like having a gun with one bullet. You cannot use it for every little thing. When a man says things like, "Gender is a social construct," realize that he is a soy-faced cuck or cunning. You should seize power like your life depends on it, because it does. There is not a successful business or corporation on the planet that is structured as a democracy. Every successful business or corporation is structured as an oligarchy or a monarchy. Men with high visuospatial IQs build our world. Men with high verbal IQs own our world. Women exaggerate their innocence so that they are loved. Men exaggerate their villainy so that they are feared. Humans are instinctively tribal, strong in-group solidarity and out-group enmity. Forming one's in-group on the basis of racial, ethnic, or national group is something more typical of low IQs than high IQs. Nobody has ever won an election by telling the truth. Employment is the next step in the evolution of slavery. Most employees are slaves in everything but name. If you are a man, carefully look out for your own interests. If you end up powerless, nobody else will care whether you live or die. Hating most people is unhealthy. Trusting most people is stupid. You should be skeptical or distrustful of most people. You should not hate most people. Ideally, you should hate nobody. For your enemies, you should have cold, hard indifference. Usually, people are punished not because of what they did, but rather because of who they did it to. Read the following in order. 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Then Influence, by Robert Cialdini. Then 55 Essays by Corporate Machiavelli. This will wake you up to the game of power. There is a counter in your brain that tracks your relative status in the hierarchy you live in. The human species evolved to have this counter before it evolved the ability to breathe. Tracking your status is more natural to your mind than breathing. Men are treated as success objects. Women are not. For women, success is optional. For men, success is mandatory. Do you ever get the feeling that the gods are laughing at you and are placing bets on how long it will take for you to realize that you're doomed? Men living towards the bottom of dominance hierarchies have this feeling every minute of their lives. Depression is rare. Terrible lives are common. Every society is 72 hours without food away from violent collapse. All it takes to get ostracized is one wrong sentence. Quality of life is Pareto distributed. Most people have terrible lives. A tiny minority have spectacular lives. There is a 100% chance that other men will attempt to flirt with any woman you are romantically involved with. This is not a problem. Her flirting back is a problem. If she politely rejects them, there is no problem. If she is receptive to them, you have a fatal problem. The most common cause of poverty is people having more children than they can afford. Money can buy happiness. Rich people have better lives than poor people. Most people are simple. You can know everything significant about their mind within 10 minutes of interaction. A minority of people are extremely complicated. You can know them for a decade and still not fully understand them. Great lives are rarely long lives. Cunning men are rare. Honourable men are rare. A man who is both cunning and honourable is exceptional. Ensure your son is like this. It is a fact that we do not value people's lives equally. Behind every fat, ugly feminist ditch pig is an inadequate father. Propaganda works because a majority of humans do not engage in deep, careful, critical thinking. If people treat you well, that doesn't say anything about you. It says something positive about them. If people treat you badly, that doesn't say anything negative about you. It says something negative about them. Wise men think in terms of available options and real-world consequences. Fools think in terms of ideology and principles. If you are too nice to a woman you are romantically involved with, she will cease to be in love with you. Power is the universal currency. You think cocaine feels great? Try power. As a man romantically involved with a woman, the probability she will leave you because you give her too little affection and time is very low. The probability she will leave you because you give her too much affection and time is very high. Power is fickle. A person who is powerless today may be in a position of power tomorrow, and vice versa. As such, be careful with how you treat those below you in the hierarchy. The day may come when the tables are turned, and people remember past harms for a long time. Asleep. We want our sons to be peaceful. Insane. We want our sons to be violent. Awake. We want our sons to have a capacity for violence, and we want them to have it under control and wield it ethically. If you have a high verbal IQ and a deep voice like myself, people instinctively pay attention to what you say. High verbal IQ makes people think that you are smart. A deep voice makes people feel you are credible. Eye contact. When you make eye contact with someone, it will usually be broken within 2 to 3 seconds. If a person looks down when breaking eye contact, it shows submissiveness. If they look to the side when breaking eye contact, it shows dismissiveness. Follow the rules is a euphemism for submit to the will of those who currently wield power, because those who currently wield power write the rules. Some men are calm and confident when they are high status, and humble yet determined when they are low status. Such men deserve your respect. Sadly, most men are narcissistic when they are high status, and resentful when they are low status. Being reminded of what you want but cannot have is psychologically toxic. This is why social media does so much psychological damage to people. When you die, 99% of your contacts will pretend to care for the sake of politeness. There are at most 5% who will actually care. Be good to these people. Reality will not conform to your ideology. Low IQs tend to form their tribe on the basis of racial, ethnic, and national group. High IQs tend to form their tribe on the basis of commonly held ideas and personal loyalty. Stop being overly judgmental. Literally every human on the planet is going to have something negative about them. You should not dismiss a person or what they say after getting one negative piece of information about them. Law 38 Addendum. Most people care more about not having their sensibilities offended than they do about finding the truth. This is 99% of men and 100% of women. If a superior dislikes you and you don't know why, it's most likely because you're not sucking their cock, and they feel you have not been sufficiently obsequious in your dealings with them. If you want to be paid an immense amount of money while delivering zero value to society, work in finance or law. People who can lie with their eyes are exceptionally rare. If you want to be a contender in the game of power, you must be one of them. At minimum, learn how to manufacture a smile that looks real. Poor people get money by selling their labor at a low price. Upper-class people get money by selling their labor at a high price. Rich people get money by investing their capital, returns on capital. This is not communist rhetoric. It is a statement about reality. With every relationship in your life, mentally map out the benefits you derive from it and the costs you incur because of it. End any relationship where the cost exceeds the benefit. The people you see on TV are not the most powerful people. The most powerful people never make public appearances. Some do, but they are certainly the minority. Spending age 18 to 35 working hard to make as much money as possible, and then having the option to relax from age 36 to 80, is a good decision. Far better than working at a moderate pace age 18 to 60 and being poor forever. Most humans are pathetically bad at detecting who is telling the truth and who is lying. This is why con men are always in business. Evolutionary biology is not politically correct. If you are a man who is suffering, nobody will care whether you live or die. It would be wise to conceal your suffering, since if people find out that you are doing badly, they will assume it is because you are weak and incompetent. We live in a society where people are loyal to nothing and to no one. Honorable men are easy to spot because they stand out. They stand out because they are exceptionally rare. If you have a contact who is worthless, in the sense that they are an objectively average loser with zero ambition, however, they are trustworthy, keep them around forever. Be a socialist when dealing with my family members and close friends, and a ruthless capitalist with everyone else. A man who dies for something dies once. Those who live for nothing die every day. If you are a man and you are suffering, conceal your suffering. Don't tell anyone. If people see you are suffering, They will respond with disdain, not compassion. It is not healthy to hate people. It is healthy to distrust people, to have some minimal level of paranoia and cynicism. If you use methods people disapprove of and succeed, you will be rewarded. If you use methods people approve of and fail, you will be punished. It pays to win. It does not pay to play fair. To fit in with them, you have to be the same as them. To rule over them, you have to be superior to them. Actions that are driven by careful logical reasoning are rare. Actions that are driven by emotion and instinct are common. As such, women and children are far more willing to seek help than men. If a man seeks your help, know that he is desperate and you are probably his last resort. What those in power tell you is true is not the truth, and what the masses believe is true is not the truth. Those in power will lie to you, and the masses are delusional. Dogs are not cunning and loyal. Cats are cunning and not loyal. Men are like dogs. Women are like cats. Lesson in there. Show enough skill and power to impress people, but never let people see you hit the edge of your limits. Speculation as to your limits arouses far greater admiration than accurate knowledge of your limits. Quit while you're ahead. Retire when you are at your peak. Don't stay in the game to experience your decline. Women select men almost entirely on the basis of physical attractiveness, status in the dominance hierarchy, and confidence. Meanwhile, men select women almost entirely on the basis of physical attractiveness. A woman or child maximizes the probability they will receive assistance by appearing as weak as possible. A man maximizes the probability he will receive assistance by appearing as strong as possible. Every society is one incompetent leader away from collapse. The road to power is paved with cunning and boldness. The 48 laws of power will teach you cunning. Testosterone cypionate will give you boldness. If you tell people a thing and it offends their sensibilities, they will assume it is false and dislike you, even if what you told them is true. There is a point in your life, probably around the age of 16, when people will stop viewing you as a boy and start viewing you as a man. This transformation is often quite painful, since as a boy your life was viewed as critical, but as a man, your life is viewed as expendable. Your status in the macro hierarchy can rise or fall dramatically in a short period of time, often due to factors entirely outside of your own control. Do not allow your emotional state and sense of self-worth to rise and fall with it. As a man, the less emotionally attached to the women you become romantically involved with, the better. This is for several reasons. Most critical, if you are more emotionally attached to her than she is to you, she will cease to consider you attractive, and she will leave you. Fools judge whether or not a statement is true based on who said it. Wise men judge whether or not a statement is true based on the actual content of the statement. Do not allow your sense of self-worth to be so tied to your status in the hierarchy that if your status falls, your sense of self-worth dies with it. Status is fickle. Your status can rise or fall dramatically within 24 hours. The main advantage a child gets from being born into a wealthy family is not the extra material resources. Rather, it is easy access to mentors who can explain how the game of power works at the highest levels of the hierarchy. If a thing is revealed brazenly, it seems fake, contrived. If a thing is revealed subtly, it seems real, genuine. This is certainly true of compliments. A direct compliment is likely to be perceived as disingenuous, despite flattery. Replace the phrase wealth inequality with power inequality, and suddenly the world will make much more sense. Belief drives action. If you can get a man to believe anything, you can get him to do anything. As Voltaire said, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Judge a man by the choices he makes, not his circumstances or his status in the macro-dominance hierarchy. Why? His circumstances and his status are determined by a million factors, some in his control, most out of his control. The only thing in his control is his choices. If, when holding hands, hers is in front and his is in the back, that relationship is doomed. If you are an adult and male and you are suffering, do not tell anyone. The probability that people will react with compassion and offer you assistance is low. Hitler never killed anyone with his own hands. Words were his only weapons. Words are the most dangerous weapon in the universe because they determine who becomes the target of physical weapons. The less ideological you are, the better decision-maker you will be. Fools think in terms of principles and ideology. The wise man thinks in terms of real-world available options and real-world consequences. Part 3. Appearing needy makes you appear unattractive, so appear calm rather than desperate. This is useful for seducing women, selling products to clients, and for persuading bankers and investors to give you capital. If you put any conscious effort into improving your life, at all, you were in the top 20%. The purpose of the Adam and Eve story was to tell men, do not allow oxytocin to blind you to the self-serving intentions of women you are romantically involved with. This story has been told for thousands of years, and 99% of men still don't get it. The more complicated your strategies and tactics are, the more likely you are to screw them up and fail. Keep things as simple as possible. Eliminate any unnecessary complexity. Keep it simple. There is a point of no return. Do not pass this point until you have thoroughly considered the consequences and you are sure you are prepared to suffer them. When you pass this point, you must do so with 110% commitment. Any hesitation at all will doom you. 98% of men and 100% of women will submit to the dominant ideology of the society they live in, without question. Zero critical thinking. Realism heuristic. If it makes you feel good, the probability it is true is very low. Beware of the one who claims to be neutral. Nobody is neutral. People who rank high on agreeableness tend to be naive. They think everyone has good intentions. No, There are people with very dark intentions that are fully conscious and very well articulated. If you believe that everyone has good intentions, you are an easy target. When a person uses unnecessarily complicated language, complicated sentence structure, big words, when much simpler language, simple sentence structure and small words could have communicated the same information, it indicates they are a fool, trying to sound wise. You should not give people the benefit of the doubt when it is clear that they are willing to operate in bad faith. Polygamy drives violence. Few understand this.